A big change with the new SAT is that the essay is now optional. So the first thing you have to really decide is actually whether or not you will be taking the SAT essay. One thing I want to mention again, I like to use the College Board's words to understand how they approach this test and how they think about it. And they said something very interesting in their documentation. And so let's read this quote. First, while the writing work that students do in the evidence-based reading and writing area of the exam is strongly predictive of college and career readiness and success, one single essay historically has not contributed significantly to the overall predictive power of the exam. Second, feedback from hundreds of member admissions officers was divided. Some respondents found the old SAT essay useful, but many did not. So what does this mean? This means that it's not at all obvious to me that this test, the essay test, will become standard. Even the College Board admits that one essay does not predict anything really about your potential or your success in college or anything like that, stuff that the admissions officers would be interested in. And again, it goes back to what we talked about in the previous video. This is an artificial test format. So for that reason, we can really ask, if you're writing something in artificial conditions, how much does that map onto the kinds of skills and abilities that we actually care about? And apparently not very well, and even admissions officers agree. So that said, you still have to decide. There are still some colleges that will require it. There are still some that recommend it. But I guess the point I'm making here is don't worry too much about what this means. Even if colleges recommend or require it, it's probably not going to be as important, and certainly not as important as the actual scores on your test. So keep that in mind. Of course, we want to get a 4.44 because any little edge you can get in the admissions process helps. But just keep in mind that even the College Board is not super enamored by what they've done here, and they don't really think it's actually very meaningful, and yet we may have to do it anyway. So what you have to do is check the policies of the colleges that you might be applying to, and there's a link in the description and a link down below if you're watching this on my website to check this for each college. So if the essay is required in even one of the schools that you're applying to, then of course you should probably take the essay. If it's recommended in at least one of the schools or more, then you should probably take the essay to be safe. And if it's neither required nor recommended by any of your schools, then you should probably not take the essay. Again, you may be early in the process. You may not even know where you're applying. If there's any kind of uncertainty, I would take it just to be safe. Worst case scenario in that case is you take it and none of the colleges you want to go to need it. And then, oh well, you spent an extra 50 minutes writing an essay. Oh well, what a shame. But worst case scenario, if you don't take it, is down the line, a college you want to apply to requires it, and then you're in trouble. So all things being equal, I would take it unless you've got a good reason not to. So again, if only one of your colleges requires it and the rest don't, I guess you have to take it, unfortunately. But again, make your decision based on your plans moving ahead. Any uncertainty, I would just take it if I were in your situation.